Support Pro Play Games on Patreon.
What's up, guys? George coming at you live from Pro Play Games with another top placing Battle Spirits deck profile. This time we took a little bit of a spin. We took our favorite color white and we mixed it in with some purple. So it gives you a lot of like that purple control feel with some white bombs. This time playing Dino Rex as our boss monster. So without further ado, let's get into the deck profile. So we started with, we're going to go bottom to top. So our 3 drops, which is the lowest cost spirit that we have in the deck, 2 Beldegors. There are some versions of this deck that are really greedy with Beldegor, but this one's not as greedy. This one, if you see it, awesome. If you don't, it's not a big deal. It's good because it's a small drop. He can act as a blocker mid-game, sacrificing himself. And then you do play some 4-drop spirits that can get triggered off the Immortal in the combat phase if you want extra blockers or extra attacks. But this guy was overall pretty fine. It's not super necessary in the deck, and I think 2 is a perfect number. Then we played triple Aglovale. Now, we played Aglovale over Magic Swordsman, which Magic Swordsman uses Soul Core to draw a card. You have to spend it. Aglovale does need to sit on the Soul Core for the effect, which is a little bit unideal sometimes, but mostly because our top end, like I mentioned, was Dino Rex, we wanted to be able to sack off the Dark Knight Aglovale to Dino Rex to draw a card. In that instance, if we needed to, right? And when we do that, we actually preserve our Soul Core. So we can like put the Soul Core on this, sack it off the Ascend for the Dino Rex, put the Soul Core back in our reserve, and then use the Soul Core again if we need it for the turn for like Axe Spider or something like that. But also, Curse Unit, so it can actually get through the, you know, that similar deadlock scenario that sometimes you get into, and they have Turtle and all that, you know, stuff you can't break through. Curse is really cool keyword, and he can get dropped for 1 mana, where the Magic Swordsman can only be dropped for 2 mana, I think, cheapest. So next for the 3 drops, we play 3 Pegasus. This guy's just great. Also one of the cards that needs the Soul Core, so that's another play that you can do. You know, do this, hack it off, then play this, give him the Soul Core, whatever. But yeah, this guy's just good at just walling aggro, and you know, he does his job. He's also a 3-drop to sack for Dino Rex. Next we played the Heavy Tank Curiosity. He's a mecha and a 3-drop, so he fills 2 roles. He can trigger our Infinity Mothership, which is what we have like a combo with in our entire deck with the Axe Spider. Also good against Curse, you know, protects destruction effects, and he's a 3-drop, and he can come down for 1 mana if you know, if it's needed to off the cost reduction. Then we play 4 Dark Lancer. We play 4 of this versus a 3 Aglovale because this is a 4-drop, so it does trigger our Beldegors. So if we needed to do something like that, we're able to. And he cycles us a card just like Aglovale. You need to be able to cycle cards in this deck just to see what you need to see. You know, you see your Ice Shield, more Ice Shields than your opponent. You see your, you know, your boss monsters, and that's why we're able to get away with like the 3 ofs and the 2 ofs because we see so many cards. Then we play 4 Axe Spider. This guy's a little bit expensive. I mean, you can't really play this version of the deck without him. It's totally understandable for those of you who can't get your hands on him. You could only get him as an official tournament promo at your local game stores. But yeah, this guy's great because he just has armor purple. Purple yellow, and his level 2 is what we pretty much play him for. The 3 cores will allow him to be an indestructible unit, so you use him as like a infinite blocker. So if you play Yu-Gi-Oh! Spirit Reaper, right, your opponent can't get through it. And then they can't board wipe you with the Dragon combo because he can't get cores removed from him. And yeah, he's just overall a great spirit. He also protects one of our biggest pieces in the entire deck, which is the Infinity Mothership. So this is like a combo that I've been really liking and playing in a lot of different decks. Infinity Mothership says as long as you have a mecha, you get 2 cores at the beginning of your core step instead of 1. And because Axe Spider is a mecha, and his ability, if you put Soul Core on Mothership, which you need 2 cores on Mothership in order to get that double mana every turn, these 2 play perfectly because your opponent cannot remove the Mothership, and most of the time cannot remove the Axe Spider. So this is an infinite combo that, well, not an infinite combo, but it's just a perfect duo that kind of can get you to infinite mana if your opponent doesn't, because you're always doubling up on the amount of mana that they get. So if you get into a stalemate, which, you know, I typically do because I want to, because I will ramp so far ahead on resources, I will eventually win. This is a great combo. Also, you're never tapping out, even though you are tapping out, because during the combat phase, you're on tap all your cores. So this is a perfect combo, and honestly, I've been playing this in white tempo as well too. I'll probably have a deck profile later in the channel for you guys to kind of see the endless possibilities that Axe Spider kind of brings to the table. Then for the top end of creatures, this is our boss monster package. This is how we win the game. How do you win the game? When you just stalemate and you just, you know, stonewall. Well, with these guys right here. So we have package A and package B. So we have package A, which is the Baculus and Curse Dragon combo. A lot of the times they won't see the Curse Dragon coming, so they won't just play around it. Like in purple, once you start playing a bunch of purple units, they're like, they're going to Curse Dragon me, and they automatically always stay at 2 cores. In this deck, sometimes they can't afford to, or they just don't see it coming, and you can just Curse Dragon them. And if they do play around it, then you go Baculus and Curse Dragon. That's a little bit more effort because you got to get them both together at the same time. But you have so much time and so much mana, you're going to be able to do it eventually. So these two guys, self-explanatory, are just like insane cards. And then our Dino Rex, this is my favorite boss monster because it really doesn't, in those stalemate positions, it forces your opponent into combat. So there are going to be times that they just want to build up their board and pass their turn. I mean, you know, that's fair. That's a lot of what this deck wants to do. But Dino Rex just doesn't allow them to do that. So just by sacking off a 3 cost or higher spirit, which I've had to sack off some of my bigger units sometimes because this is a control deck and you don't have a lot of dudes. But yeah, sack a dude. So it's kind of like tribute summoning in Yu-Gi-Oh! In order to play him. But off of his level 1, it's going to force your opponent to attack with a spirit of your choice every time. So it's of your choice. So it not only forces them into combat, but forces them to kind of like rearrange their cores really wonky to the point where you can be like, oh, I'll have that guy attack first. And this works a lot against like opposing Siege War Novas. Like they want to trigger the attack, blow up your board. You make them attack with something else. You know, you're able to open up those counter windows to like Dream Bomb. Like you force a baby to attack, then you Dream Bomb their bomb, and their bomb never got to attack you because you completely manipulated their attack phase. So this guy's really good in those instances as well. He also forces blocks into Pegacyclone, and in other decks, I like forcing blocks into Bufflong Bill and Odin and stuff like that in other decks. So where typically they'll never go into the combat in order to play around your when blocking effects, and this kind of like procs them. And then when attacking, he could bounce back any spirit without Ascend. So right now he cannot bounce back Siege War Nova. He can't bounce back, and he can't bounce back himself. But everything else in the game. So in the mirror match, when they go Elephant and there's like a stalemate, and you're like, damn, I don't want to clear his Elephant, and I don't want to run into his Elephant and make him draw a bunch of cards. You just go attack with Dino Rex, put back your Elephant, and that's GG usually, because now they have to literally continue to time walk themselves in order to land an Elephant, and you never allow them to. So yeah, speaking about Elephant, obviously you can't really play a control deck without Elephant. This card's, I mean, I guess maybe you can, but like this card's ridiculous. He is not only a great defensive option, but he's the way that you close the game actually too. So like technically, if you want to add like a 3rd boss package, you have Elephant. This guy just wins games by himself. So you core him up to 4, and you always untap. It's kind of like your Infinity Mothership. So like you can, but this also refreshes all your spirits. So this refreshes all your cores so that you don't overextend on the Infinity Mothership. But on Numengard, he actually allows you to put pressure without worrying about the consequences of the crackback. I'm going to play Force Suppression. Good thing about Axe Spider, you don't have to play Elk. So Axe Spider, because he's indestructible almost all the time, you just suppression Axe Spider and their turn. So you don't need to play Elk, like 7 mana Elk. You can play, you know, closer to the ground boss monsters like these that don't cost as much sometimes and aren't that much of a liability. And Suppression kind of just does the same thing. So this is your copies 6 through 8 of Ice Shield. Speaking of that, obviously 4 Ice Shield. Not really going to get into why Ice Shield, but 4 Ice Shield, right? And then we play more spells in order to kind of just like, we want to take advantage of the Infinity Mothership. Our deck is really like fundamentally built around this card. So we want to be able to do really unfair stuff with our mana. So we got double Core Drain. They'll never see this coming. Or Core Theft. This trashes the core, by the way. So if they have like just enough mana for an absolute Ice Shield and you're going for game, you could remove cores from their dude that they were planning to use on the Ice Shield to end the turn. And just like, you know, they don't have it anymore and they're dead. And this is also very good against Derm Dino when they try to kill you out of nowhere. Pretty much kills anything, and you have so much advantage in this game, in this deck. speaking of that, these two work perfectly well. Once you land a mothership, the turn after, you land a depths. You never tap out because that's the biggest liability sometimes. You're like, damn, do I really want to pay 6 for this field spell and then have my opponent just like put me to 1 or kill me? That's never happening with these two in Tangent, right? Unfortunately, Axe Biter cannot protect the depths, but depths is good enough. Sure, use them, let them use their Burning Force. They're probably going to knock out 2. You play the 3rd. But yeah, this card's also very good with Dino Rex. You force them to attack, you're always drawing a card, and you're ripping apart their board. No, you literally cannot ask for a better a better sequence of or combination of cards. And then we play the two of the staple spells in my opinion, Burning Force and Dream Bomb. Both of these cards are just excellent cards. I really like Burning Force because it interacts with anything in the game, instant speed, and you're always going to have the mana for it because Infinity Mothership, and then you got Burning Force. So that's pretty much it. Hope you guys like the deck profile. We have a lot more content like this on the Patreon, so definitely check it out if you want to see more content. Battle Spirits, Digimon, Dragon Ball, One Piece, all that stuff. And quick shout out to the playmat. We just got this really nice Battle Spirits playmat. It's got all the zones, so if you're brand new with Battle Spirits, which I know that there's a lot of like surprisingly new amount of card gamers that are playing Battle Spirits that haven't really played any other card games before. This is really good at making sure that you have a nice clean field and you have everything like exactly where it needs to go. And if you're familiar with our playmats, very nice quality cloth, 2-player, and we have them for all your popular card games as well too, just like the ones that I mentioned. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for the love and support. Till next time, we'll catch you.